Oh, I don't know who wrote this, J. Howe, but I love whoever it was. Larry Flint, was he a true convert by Ruth Cardinal Stapleton?
Well, correct.
Don't you like that question? I love it. Yes, he was a true convert by Ruth Cardinal Stapleton.
Yes, he was.
He sure was. But then Ruth is probably the most powerful witch that I ever met. I used to study under her. Yeah!
Turn it on next Sunday now.
Okay. What is the involvement of the Illuminati? They've got a CRR, and then they write it out, Council of Foreign Relations, CFR, and the Trilateral Commission, and the Rockefellers. Whoever wrote this wasn't here last night, right? Right, okay. I was going to say. That's what we talked about last night. The CFR is the name of the Illuminati in the United States. David Rockefeller is the second most powerful man in the Illuminati. He runs the Council of Foreign Relations. And the Trilateral Commission is the United States version of the European Common Market. And most people don't realize that America is a member of the European Common Market through the Trilateral Council. And that the Trilateral Commission, or not Council, Commission, is the brain center of the CFR. And our born-again Christian president is a member of it. You just have to let me read some of these in a minute. Oh, yeah. The John Birch Society has exposed the Council of Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, the Illuminati, and many parts of the world conspiracy. Why do you have it listed as a hate group? Gary Allen, author of the books you mentioned, is associated with the John Birch Society. And that's not saying much for the Birch Society, since Gary Allen has said across the country that the problem with America is the fundamental church. I'm going to say this again. Took some time on this last night. I think that a group that gives half-truths is worse than a group that is totally ignorant. It is a hate group because it is anti-Semitic. Its platform and the American Nazi platform and the Klan's platform are almost identical. And I have them listed together as part of the Illuminati, not by guesswork, but because I used to have to hand checks to the leaders of the Birch Society. The Birch Society is just like the Masons and many other groups. The poor innocent people vote in them and that work with them and so on know nothing of their leaders above it. That's why we say over and over, have nothing to do with a group that you don't know 100% about. And when a group tells me they're good and they have secrecy, I say, why if you're good? You only need secrecy if you're bad. That's why I have men that know everything that I do 24 hours a day, and they know everything about my ministry since I've been saved. But when accusations come up, these people will go and do the defending for me. I will say this. They say parts, but then they add. They mention these, but they make the head of the Illuminati the Rockefellers, and the Rockefellers are not the head of the Illuminati. Second, they make it a Zionist conspiracy. It is not I'm not a Jew. Nothing wrong with being a Jew, but I'm not. And not one member on the Grand Druid Council is a Jew, and not one member on the Council of 33 is a Jew, and only about 8 people on the Council of 500, the Bilderbergers, are Jews. They say, well, the Rothschilds are Jews. So what? They may have been Jews a long time ago, but they are not Jews now. They believe Lucifer, and Jews do not believe Lucifer is God. They are the synagogue of Satan. There is a difference. And it's not a Zionist conspiracy. What do I think is wrong with Star Wars? About everything. One is that everybody that signs a contract on Star Wars is an initiated witch and had to prove what brotherhood they belonged to before they could star. Everybody goes, oh, really? Yes. Now this is fact from talking with the people who produced the show. Second, the guy who played Luke Skywalker on the show, some of you from having the television bug may realize that he starred in the premiere of 8 is Enough. They had him to a contract, and he wanted out of it because he didn't. because it became a series. And he said, I want out of it, and they said no. And they said, well, we're going to do a follow-up of Star Wars called Star Trails, which is so. And I want out of it, and you better let me out of it if you know what's good for you. And they said no, and they said, well, I'll just finish your show. I'll cast a spell and kill one of the leading stars, which he did. They let him out of the contract, because he turned to the producer and says, you're next. The real reason for Star Wars is that 5 of the major doctrines of witchcraft are taught all the way through the movie, and that the statistics coming in now are over 1 million people have joined witchcraft because of the movie, since it's now. Now, I talked with the man who handled all the publicity for the movie. He verified everything I'm saying. He also said that, I said, well, I guess about 75%, and I still believe that, 75% of the movie was witchcraft. He said, no, only about 45. I said, well, what about Star Trails? He said, oh, that's 95%. I said, well, what about making everybody in witchcraft in it? He says, oh, they are. Everybody in it has to be. I said, well, who's going to be the new star? And he said, oh, the guy, and you probably won't know his name, so I'll tell you who he plays. All you women that like soap operas. He plays Snapper on Young and Restless. Now, that's not unusual, since the 3 major soap operas, you must be a witch before you star in them. Young and Restless was the last to go. That's why there was a big changeover in Young and Restless staff recently. The other 2 are All My Children and Secret Storm. So if you parents think that your kids are the ones that get it all because of the rock music, is Larry Flynn a witch? No, he's a charismatic. He says he talks in tongues regular to Peter and Paul, and they come and visit him in person and have dinner with him. Oh, well, Ruth Carter Stapleton told him that that's the way it was supposed to be. My is a 6-pointed star. Is it engagement ring? My engagement ring is a 6-pointed star. Would that have spirits attached, or is it just silly? Not silly. Could you go and have your fiancé exchange it for another one? Huh? Well, I'll put it to you this way. There was an extremely high woman in the Eastern Star in Atlanta, Georgia, last Sunday night, and she brought her Eastern Star up and asked me what the 5-pointed star with 2 points up was, and I told her, gave her all the facts on it. The ring had about 8 diamonds in them. 2 of them were over a carat. She took it home and threw it in the fireplace. I mean, you do what you want. My wife said, pull the diamonds up first. No, actually, said pull the diamonds up first and you know, give them to the Lord or something like that. But she did. She got rid of the ring. Where does faith in the promises of God apply in the end? Well, let me tell you something. I talk a lot about the end times, and I'm sorry that people get afraid when I talk about the end times. But then if Jesus was Lord in everybody's life, there wouldn't be any fear. I'm not afraid of the end times. You know, the Christians that went to the thing went rejoicing. You see, back then, you only had a sword, and when they sent a legion, which was 100 soldiers after you, one sword wasn't going to stop 100 with a sword. But today, one rifle could stop 100 with a rifle. This is something you have to decide. I mean, if you dig martyrism, you know, go on ahead. But the thing about faith in the promises of God is that I have faith that God is going to let me know when it's going to happen and is going to let me be prepared for it. Now, you can imagine how many Christians, there were 20 million Christians died in communist countries when the communists took over in brutal ways. And they were warned, and they listened to other ministers, just like the people in Jerusalem listened when Jeremiah tried to warn Jerusalem that it was going to fall. Just like people listened to other people when Noah tried to warn people that it was going to rain. We're going to have a lot of people that's going to be like the people in Noah. They're going to be looking up like this, and then when the rain starts hitting them on the head, they'll get the message. When the bullets start coming through the door, when you can't go to the grocery store, and your electricity is turned off, and it's 50 degrees outside, and you're freezing to death, you'll say, I wonder if I can make it to the retreat. Well, you won't be able to then. All I can tell you is that I believe firmly in the promises of God, and therefore I believe that I am going to see the end times. I believe that I am going to come through it. But if I came to your door and I said your house was on fire, and you said, my house is fireproof, and went back up and laid down, and you burned up, it's not my fault. I'm trying to tell you the house is on fire. It's up to you whether you get out of it or not. Okay? I firmly believe in the promises of God, and that's why I believe I'm going to make it. And I believe that God has given much of us ministers a little insight on the end times. You know, I could be a very big minister in this country, have a lot of people back me that I don't want to back me. All I have to do is close my mouth about three things: the charismatic movement, the Masons, and what's going to happen to Christians in the last days. I can't do it. I can't let the two groups go untouched and let the people in them not hear the truth. I can, in all honesty, go up to my retreat, close its doors, and sit there eating food. And now, see, retreats aren't to stay and hide it. They're to go, put your family in, and go back out and minister and have a safe place to go to. I don't plan on hiding in those days. I may have to carry a Bible and a gun at the... Come think of it, I do that anyway. But I plan on fully to keep on ministry. That's why most of the retreats have printing presses in them. But I can tell you this, that I will survive through the thing, and I will not sit up there in a retreat feeling guilty over anybody else out there, because I'm going to make sure that every place I'm at, they know about it, or I won't go there. Do you feel J.R. Tolkien, the author of The Hobbit and other series, wrote any of his books on the basis of witchcraft? Many of the themes in the books are those used to... This person couldn't have been here last night. Every book written by J.R.R. Tolkien, including the Silmarillion, just finished by Christopher, and you'll find Christopher's name on those handouts, was not written by him. Until Tolkien wrote these things used in witchcraft, as you put it, were secrets to witchcraft. And Tolkien was a member, along with another gentleman I'm going to mention in a minute. Both were supposed confessed born-again Christians, but both were members of the Golden Dawn. That's the Rothschild's private church in London. It's the oldest colon in the world. And he gained permission both from the council and the Rothschilds personally to take things from the Book of Shadows, the Witchcraft Bible, and print them in books. You may think that The Hobbit and the books of the trilogy, like The Lord of the Rings and Two Towers and so on, and the Silmarillion are fairy tales. But they're the gospel to witches. According to witches, those things really did take place. If you've got them in your home, you wouldn't own a Satanist Bible. At least I hope you wouldn't. Pray for you if you would. And you wouldn't own a witchcraft Bible. Why would you own part of the witchcraft Bible? Now you can go, don't do this, but you could go to the occult stores and you could pick up many books that came out after The Hobbit came out that bear the alphabet of witchcraft, the runes. But The Hobbit released them first. And they were secret upon the penalty of death till then, and nobody could have written them that had not been in witchcraft. Now, there's a Christian author whose books are sold in every Christian bookstore. That's why I don't like Christian bookstores, who claims that Tolkien went into the Lord. He forgot to say what Lord. And his books are required reading before you can join a coven, required studying. His name is C.S. Lewis. You pray about it, but they should go in the fireplace right along. And I'm going to quote from one of Lewis's books. The pathway to God is like a hall with many doors. They all lead to God. Not on your life. Jesus says that anybody comes other than through him is a thief and a robber. Should a Christian in any capacity physically prepare for Should a Christian in any capacity physically prepare for the pending takeover? When I prayed for questions like this, I didn't know I was going to get so many. Well, I already told you yes. If you don't, you're the one who's going to have to look at your wife or your husband or your kids and say, I'm sorry, I can't stop them from coming in the house. What should fundamental Christians do in the light of things we've learned? Pray a lot, read a lot of the Word of God, win as many souls as you can before you're going to go to jail for it, and prepare for the end times. Who is the son of Satan, and who is he by name? Well, you've got son of Satan. They don't call him son of Satan, they call him son of Lucifer. They call him Adam. And he's a person that has a sister that's a witch, has a beer-drinking brother, and says he's born again but only has the fruit of the devil. I think that'll suffice. See, I'm not like a bunch of Christians that I had to put up with for 4 years telling me that Henry Kissinger was going to be the Antichrist. I say the things I say because I saw his name in a letter written by Philip Rothschild says everything the Illuminati is going to do over the next 8 years is to make the man of peace, and gave his name, and then listed him as Adam, the son of Lucifer, to bring peace to this world. So they're backing totally. You know, the peanut farmer.